Hi, I am Morgan Vaughan, and this is Facts at 5. It is Monday, April 6, 2020, and we have been doing this show for, I think, about 3-ish weeks. And we've been focusing on the coronavirus because that is the coronavirus pandemic, because that is what is taking up everyone's time and is one of the hugest stories probably of my lifetime and in an historic moment in time. My co-host, Christine Sampson, a reporter from the East Hampton Star. Thank you for being here, Chrissy.
Hi, Morgan. Thanks.
Okay, let's start with the numbers and the new mandate from the governor.
So the governor has now extended New York State on pause, which is the essential businesses only, non-essential businesses closed, schools closed. It's through April 29th now.
Okay.
And so that's, more weeks ahead of social distancing, no gatherings.
No gatherings.
And really just taking precautions and being safe.
And hoping, as he was saying, to stop, he's hoping, what I heard in the press conference yesterday, that we've reached this apex, or we're going to be at the apex, or we're going to plateau at the apex, and hopefully with continued vigilance in social distancing, we will get past this and move forward.
Yes. It
has been really sobering, and it's just unbelievable to see what is going on in the world and in the country because of this virus. So in Suffolk County right now, there were 30,900 COVID tests that have been administered, and 43.6% of those tests were confirmed positive.
That's 14,185 cases.
And that is because those are the people who were sick. Mm-hmm. So we don't really know who has the virus. But we do know who is sick and who of those people have it. In East Hampton, we have 60 people, mm-hmm. and in Southampton, we have 199 people. And we hope that everybody who is sick is going to get better and is well and has people taking care of them. We have an update from the Southampton Hospital that came out, I think, this weekend about they have been transferring their hospital from 94 beds to 188 and increasing the ICU capacity by 3-fold. And they say that they're incredibly fortunate to be serving such a caring and engaged community. And they also, if you see their website, they also have a cute little YouTube video of pictures that kids have sent them.
Oh, that's great.
It's really great. And
one of the things that made a difference for Southampton Hospital was the cancellation of all elective surgeries, because they were able to not only use those, doctors and nurses and assign them elsewhere, but also the space and the beds.
So did other hospitals like Stony Brook not do that?
No, everybody's done that at this point.
Uh-huh.
But, the Stony Brook Southampton Hospital is our only hospital on the South Fork.
Right.
So the fact that they're more than doubling their bed capacity is really meaningful. And, the ICU capacity as well, because we're going to need it, unfortunately.
And people are still getting sick. People are still having babies. People are still having accidents.
I know.
So that's the part that is the reason why we stay at home, is and we don't drive around, is so we don't have an accident and then cause emergency services to come take care of us when it's already overloaded.
Yeah, exactly.
Potentially. And that's, All right, so we're going to talk about making masks, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. What I wanted to go over was let's talk about gloves.
Morgan, is it true or false that people know how to use the gloves and what they mean and, exactly how they benefit us?
It is false. And I actually looked this up when we first started covering this because I was so confused, because I see people have the gloves and then they're touching everything, their face, their phone, their blah, and their money and everything. And I was like, how is this sanitary? It's not. And now we have the problem of I see people in the grocery store, the masks and the gloves, and then they take the gloves off and dump them in the parking lot. Not good.
I've seen that as well. And you know who else saw it? Manny Villar
saw it.
And so he's got pictures on social media of discarded gloves, and his quote was, "East Hampton is not your garbage receptacle," and hopes that the papers and LTV and everyone will pick up and do a public service announcement on it. Because it's a real, there's a viral video of a Michigan nurse frustrated by seeing shoppers not properly using the gloves. And she uses paint to show how cross-contamination can easily occur using gloves.
It's really, and she does a great job. And I watch a lot of videos like this. So she touches the paint with her gloves, and then she just goes about like she's walking through a grocery store. She touches her face, she touches her phone, and by the end, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And then she just takes off the gloves. They end up so that somebody else has to pick up her disgusting viral gloves. And the best thing to do is to try not to touch anything, but you're going to have to touch things. Wash your hands. Wasn't it Dr. Fauci who said he washes his hands like 50 times a day? Like, we're not talking about wash your hands every once in a while. It's all the time. And also wiping down things in the car, your steering wheel, et cetera. But it's sort of astounding to me that the other thing I was thinking is that doctors and nurses are used to using gloves.
Yeah.
And when they say that you're in the hospital, when they walk in, they put on a new pair of gloves and they throw them out before they leave. They're not spending their day
in the gloves. And I mean, honestly, the throwing out of your own gloves, this is like, environment 101, personal hygiene 101.
Right?
It's common sense.
Yeah. We don't want your disgusting gloves that other people then have to pick up. So thank you. Here, okay, so landscaping. I'm allowed to mow my lawn. Is that the case?
That is the case. It is a true fact that Morgan Vaughan can mow her lawn.
Tell my husband that. So we are allowed to mow lawns because we don't want to have, for maintenance we can mow. And even, I guess, hire somebody to mow our lawns if we can't do it ourselves?
That is the case, and that is being strictly moderated right now and looked at because it's such a noisy thing. There's a noise factor. You can hear somebody mowing their lawn or blowing leaves.
Right.
Obviously, that is a big deal for us normally here in East Hampton and around our area. But one of the things that you were saying earlier that you have to cut your lawn because you don't want ticks.
Right.
You don't want ticks to.
It'll just be another problem then.
Exactly.
That we'll have.
Particularly with your pets.
Right.
And so it's a safety issue and a health issue.
Right. So we're allowed to do that, but you keep it together. So we touched on this on Friday a little bit about the Zoom bombing, and I saw a really interesting piece this week on CBS This Morning about what's going on, why the internet we're having so much trouble with the internet because everybody's online, et cetera. But with Zoom bombing, we've had some instances at public meetings in Sag Harbor that LTV didn't do, where hackers have gotten in and caused major, major disturbances.
Exactly. And so, here at LTV, I believe we are taking steps to make it more secure when we do use Zoom.
And I think it's as simple. I've been talking to Jason Nauer about this, who's running the meetings right now, and it's really as simple as having a password that he will then run the meetings for LTV through the government meetings for LTV, and then if something like that happens, he can kill it right then. So we don't end up in these horrible situations, which I was reading some people's situations. They're giving a conference and then they're hacked, and it's so mortifying and scary and nobody knows what to do. So we're not doing that at LTV, but I think also Zoom has come out with some protocols, and they're really, God love them. 3 weeks ago, nobody even knew who they were. And then all of a sudden the entire world is using them.
It is the app du jour, as we said before.
It is the app du jour, and that's a lot for people to handle. So Southampton Town sent out today evictions information. And I have put this up you can go to a website, and I've put this up in English and Spanish because they sent it out in English and Spanish. What have you heard about what's going on with evictions, and what can we do?
So there is a moratorium in place on evictions right now. And there are still cases where people may not be informed of their rights. So this is why some of the municipalities and cities around us have been, actively reaching out, doing outreach to make sure that their people know, their residents know, hey, you can't bully me and you can't threaten me or be menacing or send out ambiguous letters because I have rights. And there is a moratorium in place, and it was for 90 days. It didn't begin. When did it begin? Do you recall when it began?
It's till at least June 19th.
Okay.
So you cannot be kicked out.
Right.
And I think that's great that the information is out there because we definitely need to protect people who have lost their jobs at this point.
And one of the issues is that, and the reason why that a lot of this information is being put out there in multiple languages is for access purposes. Riverhead Local, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Riverhead Local, Denise Civiletti does a great job.
Oh, yeah.
And she, one of their reporters recently wrote a piece about the importance. It's actually, when you're lacking information in multiple languages, it's actually a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
Particularly for, people who predominantly speak other languages. If you can't follow along with the news about COVID-19, you might not know you have it. You might not know where to get tested. You might not know some really critical information. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important to get that out there in, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, Chinese, like all the different languages that you possibly can, especially in cities where there's large immigrant populations.
I can't imagine how isolating that would feel. I mean, I speak English, I understand what's going on, but if you didn't, I've been in other countries, and to not have any idea what was going on or to really follow around. So I really appreciate the people and the government and the municipalities that are stepping up and putting things in Spanish, because that is the predominant other language.
It is, out here particularly.
Out here.
At the East Hampton Star, we recently partnered with Ola to do some Spanish language translation of our articles.
I saw that. It's fantastic.
So, I'm not trying to, pat us on our back, but I'm just saying that this is an important issue, and it's a matter of access.
It's amazing that you're doing that. This is totally just a different little thing, but we just want to touch on it quickly because it does affect a lot of people. Everybody knows along on the railroad, the Trestles. So what is happening with that? Because I understand that the neighbors are not thrilled with what might be happening with trucks.
Yeah, so we spent a long time dealing with the trestle raising process with the MTA. They did that for us. And now that they're higher, larger trucks, more equipment, bigger rigs can get underneath the trestles. And so there's noise involved. There's genuine safety concerns on residential streets like Ecobonic. And so the East Hampton Village, according to the East Hampton Press, has considered, they're soliciting feedback, they're seeking input on whether or not they should impose a weight limit for those roads near the trestles, because they're being overwhelmed in some cases by dangerously large trucks.
Right.
And so, we've heard from folks about it too. It's pretty obvious, and they want to do it sooner rather than later because of the summer, the anticipated summer, the usual summer influx of workers.
And also, once people get used to something, it's really hard to take it away.
Exactly. So they might, they're weighing acting on that, sooner rather than later. It hasn't been decided yet.
We are almost out of time, and I want to talk tomorrow about how the coronavirus will change our future. Tomorrow we're going to have a video interview with the Very Reverend Dennis Burnell and Rabbi Josh Franklin from the Jewish Center, the Very Reverend from St. Luke's. Tomorrow we'll have that interview because it's Passover and Easter coming up. But for now, I would like to talk about acts of kindness. And you have one and I have one.
Why don't you go first, Morgan?
Okay. My act of kindness is that I am asking people, and I will do this on Facebook too, to send me a video of an expertise that you have that people don't have access to right now. So, for example, I need to cut my dog's toenails. So I asked my groomer, my favorite groomer, to make a little video about cutting toenails. We need to know how to make masks. So I asked a costumer friend of mine to make a video for that. I will post this. I will put the specs that we need, and that is an act of kindness that you can do at home. You can get your kids to do at home for the community that I would love to have.
And another thing you can do for your community, this is something that County Executive Steve Ballone was just talking about a day or two ago. If you've had a positive confirmation of COVID-19 and then you recover and you're fully recovered and feeling good again, donate plasma, blood plasma, because there's a form of therapy called convalescent antibody therapy. and that helps people. That can help people. It's not a silver bullet, of course, but it can aid somebody who is really sick to have that boost of antibodies from somebody who has recovered.
Okay.
So, there are all sorts of concerns and restrictions, like you be above a certain weight and age and be in generally good health at that time in order to do it. But that's something you can do, and that's a really selfless act as well,
Right.
is giving something from you directly to somebody else.
Fantastic one. How do you do that? Is it the Red Cross?
It is the Red Cross. There's information on the Red Cross, and you can probably also call Long Island Blood Services.
Okay, fantastic. Chrissy, thank you again for being here. We are over time. Jason is going to be so angry, but we want to thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow at Facts at 5. Stay home, stay safe.